A fragile lady whose spirit was completely shattered. A naive girl who knew nothing but to cling to the little warmth I offered her. He stood up and held out his hand to Erin. She looked at him naively and smiled softly. And so Erin placed her hand in Raymond's. Yes, then he pulled her up forcefully, clinging to even the tiniest glimmer of hope. And then Raymond asked Erin with concern, "You feel lighter than before? Have you lost weight again?" And so Erin placed her hand in Raymond's. Yes, then he. She replied foolishly, "Really?" He advised Erin, "You have to eat more if you keep this up after you get into the swordsmanship department." The light, to be honest, I found it quite interesting. Back in the present, Raymond stared at his own hand and thought to himself, "And yet, in the end, you threw me away. It's fine, I just need to remind you again who your true savior is." That night, in Ferdinand's office, Ronan was sitting, drinking tea, and thinking about Erin. An incredible talent, precise sword lines, perfectly restrained movements, cornering her opponent at the crucial moment. Back when I met that child, she showed absolutely no sign of any gift for the sword, looking so frail. I even wondered if she could stand on her own. It's scary how fast kids grow up. Then Ferdinand pushed the door open and walked in. "Duke Arsely, it's been a while, have you been well?" He thought, I was lost in thought. Then Ronan asked politely, "Yes, is the second prince doing well?" He replied courteously, "Come now, even if you are here on official business, this is still an informal meeting, so please speak comfortably. You're my mother's close friend, and you've even looked after me since I was a child. Please treat me as you did back then." He said, "All right then, I'll ask you a few things directly." Ferdinand replied softly with a bit of confusion, "Yes." Suddenly Ronan used his aura to pressure him and said angrily, "While I was pouring my all into the war in the southern mountain range, you dared to get engaged to Erin Lysus without discussing it with me first." He quickly said, "Duke, about that." Ronan cut Ferdinand off. "I heard you had to get engaged to Erin Lysus because it was His Majesty's command. I heard His Majesty issued a supplementary order. Even so, Duke Arsely, the idol of all knights, is known as one of the three pillars supporting the Empire. However, there is a truth that only his closest aides know, and that is the fact that he excessively dotes on his daughter. How dare you abandon my daughter, the saintess of the Empire, just to choose the villainess of the Empire?" Princess Cecily slammed her teacup on the table. "That's enough. Father, no matter how you look at it, the relationship between Ferdinand and I was just an arranged contract to keep the factions surrounding us in check. I already asked for your permission. So why are you still angry when you were well aware of it?" Ferdinand said softly, "My lady." Ronan put on an "it's not my fault" face and said, "Daughter, that's not what I meant. I just don't want you to be seen as the one who was abandoned." Princess Cecily turned her face away and replied, "Abandoned? Don't treat me like the heroine of some tragedy." Meanwhile, Ferdinand thought pensively, "I've seen this scene so many times, but I still can't get used to it." Then she immediately said, "And please don't slander Lady Erin. She's my friend. I think you'd like her too. You met her at the training grounds before coming here, right? You must have seen her strength." Ronan looked at his daughter for a moment, then he looked over at Ferdinand. "She truly possesses an exceptional talent. So is that the reason you so easily accepted the engagement with Erin Lysus? She showed you her talent, didn't she? I mean that ability, the power of Ferdinand Lesia, a power unique to the Licino royal bloodline, which is also the very reason this royal family has been able to maintain its power. To this day, a truth the entire world knows, the power to see anyone's past without distinction. The eyes that see the truth." Ferdinand, who had been silent this whole time, finally spoke. "Your Grace the Duke is well aware that the ability is not something I can use at will. It manifests on its own, showing me a fragment of another person's past." Ronan asked in surprise, "So does that mean you saw nothing?" "I didn't see anything related to her swordsmanship talent." "So you saw something else?" He was quiet for a moment before slowly saying, "That is something I cannot speak about." His face grew pensive, and he couldn't help but think, ***, you can't even tell me? ***, what on earth did you see? ***. After a moment of silence, Ronan spoke up to warn him, "Ferdinand, the Emperor is always looking for a chance to take you down. I can't help you directly, you see, we sword saints have sworn not to interfere in the royal family's internal affairs. Perhaps that's why the Emperor agreed to let you get engaged to the Empire's villainess. If she makes a mistake, he'll have the excuse that you can't control her and place all the responsibility on your shoulders," he said, as if he had already foreseen it. "I understand." Ronan walked over to a chair and sat down, instructing him further. "If you truly understand, give me the report on the monster subjugation. It's as if you're forcing me to want to dig into her secrets myself. Speaking of which, what on earth happened? What swordsman could have possibly done that? No matter how I think about it, the monsters that day were not something an ordinary knight could deal with. Based on the investigations by our team," he replied, "we also suspect they were completely wiped out before anyone could even assess the situation." He couldn't help but furrow. "Investigations by our team," he replied, "we also suspect they were completely wiped out." His brow in thought, "I personally investigated every single participant myself. Once you reach a certain level, it's nearly impossible to measure one another's strength anymore, even when facing each other directly." As he spoke, his expression turned sinister, and he clenched his fist. "I truly want to meet this person hiding in the shadows. It's been a long time since I found a worthy opponent." Hearing him say that, Ferdinand stood by with a somewhat concerned expression. Seeing how late it was, Ronan suggested, "It's late, let's stop here for today." Before he left, He turned back as if to say something. Ah, Ferdinand, he asked. Was there something you wanted to say? He suddenly pulled Princess Cecilie closer, smiled softly, and said with sincerity, Can you for bringing my daughter back safely? Princess Cecilie stood beside him, her eyes glistening as she looked at her father. Ferdinand replied happily, Your thanks should be directed to Sir Amon and Lady Erin. They were the ones who escorted the princess safely back. After those two left, he was left alone in the quiet silence. Perhaps that is also why the Emperor approved the engagement with the Empire's villainess. The Empire's villainess? Duke, I don't understand you. What am I even saying? Ferdinand walked over to the window, gazing at the moonlit scenery. He recalled the moment Erin sat leaning against a tree, petting a cat. Lady Erin? A villainess? ***, scene change. A few months later, the second prince of the Ferdinand Empire, though he was the son of a concubine and not the empress, he possessed a kind, generous, and proper nature. The young women around couldn't help themselves whenever they saw him pass by, praising him as a true prince. It seems class is over. He surpasses any other man who bears the title of prince. If anything had changed recently, he was walking when he turned at the sound of his name being called. The person calling was Princess Cecilie, and it was his relationship with her. He smiled in her direction. They had known each other since childhood, a meeting between a prince and a saintess that had sparked curiosity, nurtured countless romantic fantasies, and became the model of an ideal couple in the eyes of the public. Except, that wasn't true for the two of them. When they were alone, she would shudder. So cheesy. Why are people so into this stuff? My jaw was about to cramp from forcing that smile. You. Took forever to open the door? Hurry up, he, equally annoyed, would say with disgust. You were the one walking slowly, so don't blame others when you won't even check your own pace. By this point, the two of them would be in a heated, noisy argument. What? The two of them, who were practically mortal enemies, had secretly signed a contract and were publicly acting as lovers for several months now. Their reasons were the power struggle within the royal family and their own personal vendettas. The emperor greatly favored the first prince, the empress's son, over the second prince, Ferdinand. This, of course, led to conflict between Ferdinand and the first prince. With no noble faction to back him, Ferdinand was at a significant disadvantage. Meanwhile, Lady Cecilie, the only daughter of Duke Cecilie, was also the saintess. Her father was the sword saint, and like him, she had little interest in power, but, as the saintess, she harbored a simmering resentment towards the empire. Knowing each other, since childhood, they understood each other better than anyone. Ferdinand needed a shield to protect his position, and the princess believed that only Ferdinand could restrain the emperor and the recklessness of the first prince, so they had opted for a contract relationship. When it was just the two of them, Princess Cecilie sighed and flopped onto a chair. I know full well what I'm doing, but this is exhausting. Pretending to be gentle and noble to keep up my image as the saintess is draining enough, but now I also have to act like a doting lover. Hearing her complain, Ferdinand made an offer. Just say the word, and I'll cancel the contract immediately. Princess Cecilie asked in disbelief. Cancel it? Are you sure you could survive that? He also sat down, saying slowly, It would be difficult, I admit, but what if you end up losing your life? Being involved with me means you'll be dragged into danger as well. Princess Cecilie's face suddenly turned cold as she said firmly, What are you talking about? Everyone dies eventually. What difference does a contract make? I didn't sign this just to save you. This is the best choice for the Empire, as its saintess. Seeing her determination made him smile in spite of himself. The princess was always like this. She broke through his thoughts, saying, You should worry about yourself before you worry about me. I heard about your engagement to Lady Erin. At a noble's banquet, everyone was surrounding Ferdinand. Greetings. It's been a while since we've seen you at a banquet, second prince. He was chatting with the others. Yes, I rarely attend because I'm busy with my duties at the academy. A girl among them hesitantly asked, So the rumor is true. Then, I heard you're planning to get engaged to Lady Erin. He recalled the emperor's disgusted face, who once said, You know about the marriage arrangement with the lady of House Erin that's been spreading, don't you? She's a perfect match for you, so attend this banquet. You should at least meet her in person one time. Back in the present, he pondered for a moment before speaking about that, before he could finish. He looked in her direction when he realized Erin had arrived. Erin was currently dressed in a lavish and magnificent outfit, with a cold expression on her face. Seeing her approach Ferdinand, the people around them began to whisper with harsh and malicious words. That's Erin Lysus. What is a villainess like her doing at a party like this? It seems the rumors are true. She's going to be engaged to the second prince. No way. He's close to the saintess, so why would he get engaged to a woman like her? What a pity for the second prince. Hearing the gossip, Erin lowered her head even more, in silence, ignoring their words and turning away. Seeing her like that, Ferdinand brought a plate of strawberry cake over to her. Have you not eaten anything? It seems you haven't. Seeing his handsome, well-defined features, she couldn't help but be stunned, stammering a little, I haven't. Before Erin could finish, Ferdinand was suddenly hit by a headache that made him stagger unsteadily, clutching his face with his hands. This feeling. The scene at the party shifted to a different, small room, making him suspicious. Where am I? Whose room is this? And why did my power suddenly manifest? Ferdinand instinctively turned his head to look at a corner, where a little girl was curled up in a blanket, sobbing. Lady Erin? Am I seeing her past? So then, this is her room. But why is she crying so miserably? It reminded him exactly of his own childhood, which made his heart ache. She's crying just like I did when I was little. As he thought that, the scene returned to normal, pulling him back to reality. Seeing his troubled expression for the past moment, on Ferdinand's face, Erin asked with concern, "Second Prince, are you all right? Your face suddenly turned pale just now." "Yes, I'm fine," he thought to himself. "I'm back to normal." Ferdinand massaged his temples with his hand. "This headache is really intense. Is this a side effect of my power? What on earth did I just see?" Seeing his reaction, the people at the party wouldn't stop gossiping, even though they didn't really understand the situation. Did anyone see the second prince's expression? What did that woman say to make him look like that? She really is a villainess. His Highness even brought her cake, and yet she made him so uncomfortable. What a truly wicked heart. Hearing those words made Erin a little sad again, her hand unconsciously gripping her other arm tightly. "Excuse me, I need..." Did anyone see the second prince's expression? What did that woman say to make him? And couldn't stand it, so he tried to create a good impression for her. "Thank you for your concern, lady. Erin Lysus. You must have been surprised when I suddenly felt dizzy like that, but thanks to your worry, I'm feeling much better." Erin was surprised, and secretly guessed that he had raised his voice on purpose. Why all of a sudden? To comfort her, he even placed a plate of strawberry cake in her hands, offering a gentle smile. "So please don't worry anymore and be sure to eat properly." Erin, with a grateful expression, thanked the second prince profusely. In Ferdinand's office, he tossed his coat onto a chair, looking a bit weary as he sighed. "It's been a while since I've attended a party, and it's completely draining." Recalling Erin's expression at the party made him think to himself, "I've never seen her make a face like that before." People have slapped countless labels on the daughter of House Erin, the villainess of the century, the shame of her family, the Empire's one and only witch. It's as if she were born to be criticized, with venomous stories trailing her like a shadow. And yet, despite all the rumors, I've never seen her cause trouble at any party, not just because she rarely attends, but because every time she does show up, she just stands quietly, in a corner for a bit and then leaves. It was the same today. She left early. He recalled that when she was leaving, she handed the plate of cake to a servant with quite a lot still left on it. Does she not like sweets? Or maybe she just eats very little? Ferdinand snapped out of his thoughts. Wait, why am I even thinking about that? He glanced at the letter on his desk, which read, "You're aware of the rumors circulating about your engagement to Lady Erin, aren't you? She's a perfect match for you. Attend this party. You should at least meet her in person once, you worthless mongrel." Staring at the words, Ferdinand let out a bitter laugh. "That's right. I have more important things to worry about. Who has time to care about someone else?" As he spoke, he leaned his head against the window and gazed outside, only to see Erin sitting under a tree, singing as she held and petted a ginger cat. Ferdinand stared in shock. "Lady Erin, people think I'm the perfect prince, the flawless second prince of the Empire, but the truth is entirely different. In the palace, the Emperor would spew his venomous words directly at Ferdinand. You're no different from a woman from head to toe, and there's nothing about you I can stand. I never should have taken that woman as my concubine. It's a complete waste for the noble blood of the Lysia royal family to flow through your veins, you half-breed brat. You worthless mutt. My mother was the saintess of the Holy Kingdom, a handmaiden to the goddess. Until she passed away from illness, she remained an apostle of the goddess. Following some divine calling and prophecy, my father trampled all over the Holy Kingdom, forced my mother to become his concubine, and turned the Holy Kingdom into a vassal state, beneath the Empire's heel. My mother was subjugated, and I was born from that shame and humiliation. My father has never once been happy about my existence, of me. In the eyes of that man, who worships pure bloodlines, I am nothing but a stain that sullies the royal bloodline." Ferdinand thought bitterly, if he ever found out I inherited the special powers of the Lysia family, he would have killed me on the spot. My father constantly wishes for my death, and my half-brothers are no fond of me either. For someone like me, who could be attacked at any moment, caring about another person is just a fool's game. And yet, for some reason, I keep seeing all these different sides of her. The next morning at the academy, he was focused on taking notes. Yesterday, I saw something I shouldn't have. That cat is the stray I always see around the academy. Recalling the cat's condition before and now, he couldn't help but remark, the first time I saw it, it was just skin and bones. But now, even from afar, it looks so much healthier. It must be because Lady Erin is taking care of it. As he was lost in thought, Derek, approaching Ferdinand to chat. Your Highness, what are you so lost in thought about? Class had ended, and Ferdinand finally snapped out of it. He hadn't realized so much time had passed while he was deep in thought. He nodded. Ah. Derek, looking a bit suspicious, asked, You're acting strange today. Did something happen at the party last night? Or did you have a fight with your fiancé? As he spoke, he immediately turned his head to glance around to see if anyone was nearby, out of concern. If not that, then was it the Emperor? Did that man say something harsh to you? Even my closest knights, Derek included, don't know that. Princess Cecilia and I are only in a contractual relationship. They also don't know the inner workings of the royal family, or that my father treats me the way he does. I'm well aware of how carefully that's been concealed. To reassure him, Ferdinand dodged the question and turned away, saying, It's nothing happened at the banquet. Unconvinced, he pressed on, How can that be? I heard Erin Lysus attended as well. Princess Cecilia and I are only in a contractual relationship. They also don't know the inner workings of the royal family, or that my father... And you're telling me nothing happened? Those baseless words made Ferdinand instinctively frown. Really, it was nothing. Besides, Erin Lysus might not be as wicked as the rumors claim. You know how the aristocracy is, a single small rumor can be built up into a castle. Derek continued to ramble on. Even so, a castle of sand will collapse in the face of truth. Think about it. How can a good person be surrounded by malicious rumors for 10 years straight? There's always a reason for it. Something seemed to occur to him, and he added, "It's unbelievable, because looking out the window, outside the academy, there was her familiar figure, feeding that ginger cat. Today marks the 8th time I've seen a different side of her. She feeds the cat in the early morning, late afternoon, and evening, 3 times a day, and the spot she leaves the food is behind my dormitory, the old one that most students don't use anymore. You just have to go around to the back of the building." As expected, wherever Ferdinand went, he drew attention, and a couple cheerfully approached to greet him. "Good day, second prince." He was slightly startled, but replied, "Hello." There was almost no chance of running into anyone else. In other words, if she was careful, no one would discover she was caring for a stray cat, a secret that only I knew. Elsewhere, as Ferdinand was about to enter his room, someone holding a stack of letters handed one to him. "Second prince, a letter has arrived from the royal palace." Once inside, he opened the letter, and as he read, Ferdinand's expression darkened. He crumpled the letter in one hand and leaned wearily against the wall by the window. The days just go by, unchanging and relentless. When will it ever end? And when it does, what will be left? As he was waiting, her image appeared in his mind. Late at night, when no one was around, she would run over in a hurry, a plate of cat food in her hands. "Sorry, am I late? I almost ran into someone just now, so I had to take the long way around. But to make up for it, I'll stay with you longer today." She didn't know that her actions were all being watched by him from his window upstairs. For some reason, just seeing that made it a little easier for me to breathe. A little. Until one day, during a torrential downpour, he ran toward Erin with an umbrella, who was crouched down, sobbing before the grave of the cat she had cared for so dearly. There came a day when her smile vanished, and I don't even know when it happened. One night, I woke to the sound of thunder and thought of that cat, and when I saw her with it, I rushed outside. I chased after them, but by the time I got outside, Lady Lysus was already gone, and even if I followed her trail and caught up, it would have been too late. 1 month later, Derek came up to talk to me. "Hey, Ferdinand," I cheerfully greeted him back. "Good morning, Derek." Everything went back to normal. I no longer had the habit of staring out the window, and I didn't see any sign of Lady Lysus. It's understandable since that day. She's in a different department, so if she doesn't come to my dormitory, there's no reason for us to run into each other. Suddenly, Ferdinand and Derek heard the chatter of other soldiers from below. Hey, did you hear the news? Prince Ferdinand is getting engaged to Erin Lysus." The long-haired soldier chuckled. "No way. Did he really break up with Lady Asili?" The short-haired soldier showed his contempt. Poor Prince Ferdinand. Of all people, he had to get stuck with Erin Lysus. She's not even a normal woman. The murderer who killed Lilia's brother. "Who said that?" He called down evenly from the floor above. "Sounds like you're having fun? Let us join in." The short-haired soldier's face turned pale. "Ah, Prince Ferdinand." The two of them were so scared they scrambled to run away. "We're sorry." Derek got angry. "Look at them running off with their books. They're so two-faced. They praise you for being cool, but in reality, they're just waiting for the day you fall." Ferdinand glanced at him as a reminder. Those kinds of words are nothing new. Don't react to every little thing. He gritted his teeth. "Are you really not angry? Aren't you going to say anything?" He lowered his head slightly. "Derek, why did you choose to follow me? Malicious rumors still cling to Lady Lysus, while I continue to maintain the facade of a perfect prince. In the eyes of the world, but I know full well that appearances aren't everything. In the eyes of the royal family, I'm just a polished shell. The people I once cherished, once watched over, misfortune always stuck to them. They had no other choice, either to leave me or to suffer by my side. You know it too. The pressure from my father will never stop. If things go on like this, you will continue to." Derek interrupted to express his devotion. "Ferdinand, do I need a reason to follow you? If I really have to say, it's probably because I'm a bit ambitious. My swordsmanship is no better than yours. The only thing I'm slightly better at is probably just the theoretical subjects, but suffering is a part of everything. If one must endure, isn't it better to do so while following someone I want to be loyal to?" Ferdinand was stunned, his eyes filled with confusion. Before he could compose himself, he put his hand on the windowsill, and Ferdinand let out a hearty laugh. "You guys are all crazy," he said, extremely annoyed. "Hey, at least I'm better than that lazy bum Erin. The reason I never got close to Lady Lysus. On a night of pouring rain, I could only stand behind and watch Erin cry her heart out, unable to help, because I believed that an even greater misfortune would find her. That's why, for the first time in my life, I was grateful to my father for making her my fiancée." She walked into Ferdinand's room while he was discussing work. After the engagement was established, she transferred to the swordsmanship department, and we truly met for the first time. At that time, she was completely different from my previous impression. I don't know why, but she gave off a different feeling. I wanted to know more about her. He took a deep breath to compose himself. "Lady Lysus." "No, Lady Erin." Everyone around, including Derek, was stunned by Erin's appearance. Ferdinand explained. "Since we are now in the same swordsmanship department, I will call you that. It's been a while." From that moment on, he was lost in thought with so many. The Erin I once knew would never harm a soul. In fact, she always tried to avoid other people. The rumor that she killed Calops can't possibly be true. I want to understand her better, but she's so guarded. Her guard is too high. Is there any way to get closer to her? About 2 months later, she met him in a secluded place to give her thanks. "Thank you for making time for me, Sir Ferdinand. I heard you've taken on a new mission through Lady Silly. She's been visiting my room frequently these days. Ferdinand sensed something, a familiar feeling. He replied, is that so? But what mission? Is it? Ferdinand immediately seized the opportunity. Wait a minute, this could be my chance, Erin said frankly. It looks like I'll be participating, as well. So I was wondering if you would cooperate with me on this mission? He was surprised by her proposal. Meanwhile, Raymond was hiding like a coward and eavesdropping. What did she just say? I can't hear clearly from this distance. After observing Erin for a few days, I've realized she's quite skilled with a sword, which means just as Coralia said, it will be difficult to avoid getting injured. The ever-scheming Coralia once told him, soon the Emperor will order the second prince to lead the campaign to exterminate the werewolves. Ferdinand Lysus, along with the knights in training, will definitely be sent. Count Leon will join them later, but he won't offer any real support. That will be the end of Ferdinand Lysus. I can't wait for that moment. When the second prince dies, that girl will blame herself for it all, believing that everything started to fall apart after her engagement to him. In any case, the two of them are in the same situation. A swordmaster is passing by, eh? I want to see if fortune will smile on me a second time. Raymond is plotting to harm Erin, so all I need to do is figure out how to handle Erin. Alright. Under the pretext of protecting her, I'll accompany the expedition, and before we set foot in the werewolf territory, I'll find an opportunity to get Erin alone. Someone will accidentally push her into the water, and after I save her, I'll begin her re-education. During that process, her losing an arm is inevitable. Don't blame me too much, milady. This is all your own fault. After all, a pale full moon illuminated the night sky, and the small forest encampment was filled with the sound of a crackling fire. A few soldiers were gathered around the cookfire, some tending to the wood, others stirring a pot of soup, creating a peaceful scene after a long day of marching. Not far away, Amon stood silently beside his horse, his hand gently stroking its mane. After all, a pale full moon illuminated the night sky, and the small forest encampment was filled. Then, he picked up a wooden bucket to get some water for his loyal companion. When Eamon turned, asked curiously, "What are you guys still doing up? Aren't you turning in?" Derek replied with an annoyed look, "No matter how I look at it, those two are just weird." Amon replied nonchalantly, "What's so weird? Aren't they just sitting next to each other like an engaged couple would?" He and Karen yelled, "Exactly, that's what's so weird. A few days ago, by royal decree, we were once again on the move. Our mission this time is to exterminate the werewolves and rescue the refugees they've taken captive. Werewolves are a type of intelligent demonic beast. They're very strong and extremely aggressive, so just a team of reserve knights isn't enough to handle them. That's why His Majesty sent one of the Empire's sword masters, Count Leon, along with his entire knightly order. He's here to support us, and right now we're on our way to the rendezvous point to join Count Leon." Derek's face was serious. "I didn't expect to get such an urgent mission, but I still can't get used to seeing those two stuck together like that." He quickly added, "They've been together since we departed." Caroline gritted her teeth. "It's not like they have that much to talk about, do they? If there's nothing to discuss, there's no reason to be together, right? Then why is he adding fuel to the fire? Besides, there's a strange atmosphere surrounding them. It's a good thing Mrs. Silly isn't here to see this," Amon recalled. "Oh, that's right, that girl isn't on this trip, is she?" "Before we left, Princess Cecily wished us well. Travel safely." Derek replied, "Yes, she didn't come along this time. You should add Miss to that." Lilia appeared out of nowhere and interrupted, "So, what's the reason they have to stick together? You must have heard something, right?" He looked up, and Derek said quietly, "I don't know either." Before, Erin went directly to Ferdinand. "Sir Ferdinand, I have something private to discuss with you." He remembered and recounted. Back then, ever since she spoke with Erin Lysus before the trip, the only thing I've seen is that those two are always together. She and Derek glanced at each other, while Karen and Eamon were lost in thought. He pondered. Together? When the soldiers weren't looking, Raymond slipped into their camp. His gaze was as sharp and cold as a newly drawn blade. Raymond stared at Erin with eyes full of sorrow. Earlier, when the soldiers were gathered, Amon alone sensed someone watching from a distance. He turned to check. Amon's eyes darkened. "This is really strange. Karen, you said Sir Raymond joined this mission as Erin's escort, right?" Karen turned and replied, "Yes, Sir Ferdinand also gave his permission. He said it was fine if it was for my sister's sake." He pressed on. "And Sir Raymond? Has he been protecting her since she was a child?" He quickly answered, "Well, only when necessary, but they've always been very close." Amon was surprised. "Close?" Karen was puzzled. "Yes." He thought back to Raymond's ice-cold eyes. Is that the look of someone who's close? Amon silently observed his every move. Derek noticed and urged everyone, Hey, they're leaving. Where are they going at this hour? Let's follow them and see." He pulled the two of them back. "Where do you two think you're going? We still have to set up camp. Are you trying to sneak off somewhere?" This made Karen yell, "Let go of me, Sir Eamon." Derek struggled just as much. "Where am I going? I'm just doing everything for my master." Lilia became melancholic, a sadness she couldn't put into words. Lilia was haunted by the death of her loved one, a persistent pain like a knife twisting in her heart. Because of that, she was even more determined to get her revenge, and Erin was the target Lilia needed to tear to pieces. Ferdinand, and she arrived in the middle of the Firefly Garden. I've rehearsed this in my head dozens, even hundreds of times. The words I've always thought about, prepared for so long. In the past, I couldn't say them then, but now I've finally gathered the courage. Erin summoned all her courage and said, "Sir Ferdinand, I want to cancel our engagement." Hearing this, he was stunned into silence. But she remained calm and felt a great sense of relief. After a long moment, Ferdinand finally blurted out, "Cancel the engagement? Why are you suddenly saying this?" Erin calmly explained, "There's no need to maintain an engagement that you don't want. To be honest, I don't want it either, Raymond." The distant observer didn't want him to question her modest dress. "Lady Erin, so, why do you want to be engaged to me?" She turned away abruptly. "You know exactly what kind of person I am. It's just a passing whim. Now that I've said my piece, I'll be taking my leave." Startled, Ferdinand chased after her. "Wait, Erin!" But, unfortunately, he could no longer reach for Erin's hand. She just left without giving Ferdinand a chance to speak his mind. He stood bewildered in the middle of the forest. What is happening? The forest slowly fell into a deep slumber. My engagement to Lord Ferdinand was forced upon me by my stepmother. It has nothing to do with my true feelings for him. Because of our engagement, he had to break up with the woman that he loved, yet neither of them has ever resented me for it. Not in the past and not now. Before, I dragged Lord Ferdinand down with me because I was scared of my stepmother, but this time, I absolutely cannot keep holding on to him. Erin gave Raymond a huge surprise. "What are you doing there? I asked you a question. Why are you sneaking around like a rat? Spying on me and Lord Ferdinand?" Raymond was terrified that his whole plan had fallen apart just a moment ago. Erin was speaking frankly with Ferdinand. "You don't have to force yourself to stay in an engagement that you don't like, and I don't want it either." Raymond was quietly hiding in a nearby bush, eavesdropping, breaking her engagement with the second prince. What, is she insane? Acting like she can just decide that on her own. She's always so reckless, isn't she? Where did Lady Erin go? She was right here a second ago. Ferdinand was also looking around, confused, turning his head in every direction to find her. Raymond patiently waited for him to leave. Suddenly, an incredibly oppressive presence was aimed directly at him, sending a cold shiver down his spine. Raymond frantically swung his sword around, the composure on his face replaced by a panicked expression. When a familiar voice rang out, "What are you doing there?" Erin had appeared in front of Raymond out of nowhere, and questioned him. "Why were you hiding like a rat and spying on Lord Ferdinand?" Raymond glanced at her anxiously, racking his brain for a way to explain. A moment later, Raymond hesitantly followed behind Erin, silently and warily sizing her up. Clearly, I had concealed my presence, so how did Erin detect me? And what was that overwhelming pressure just now? In my entire life, I've never felt anything like it. Was it killing intent? No, it couldn't be described as mere bloodlust. Raymond recalled the heavy sensation, as if 1,000 hands were dragging him to the ground. He shuddered, describing it as looking directly into the gates of hell itself. Where did that crushing pressure suddenly come from? Erin only just started learning the sword. It definitely wasn't her. Other than Erin and myself, there's no trace of anyone else around. For a master of that caliber to be here without me realizing it is impossible. But the awkward atmosphere between them was shattered by Erin's cold voice. "I still haven't heard your answer." "From you. I asked why you were spying on me and Lord Ferdinand." Raymond was taken aback for a moment, before slowly answering. "I think you've misunderstood. I was only following because I was worried about you going off alone. With him, even though he is your fiancé, it's still very dangerous to go this deep into the woods at night." After his long-winded explanation, Erin simply repeated in a low voice, "You were worried about me? To me, you're much scarier right now, Raymond." Yikes! I quickly sheathed my sword. I'd had it drawn this whole time without even realizing it. Outwardly, I put on a bright smile, and said, "Ah, right. I'm sorry, but Lady Erin, why are you speaking with such a heavy tone? It's quite frightening. Did I do something wrong? Is it because I followed you? I already explained that I was just worried about you." "Erin, you're too careless. You trust people way too easily. I'm just scared something will happen to you." "Sir Ferdinand may be known as a good man, but don't trust him too much. You've only just met him. He's not like me, so you should be cautious." Erin remained expressionless as she listened to his suggestive warning. A long time later, she finally mumbled, word for word, "Don't put your faith in Ferdinand, put it in me." To me, Raymond was like rain in the desert. In a life worn down by endless abuse, he gave me a sliver of will to continue living. Yikes! I quickly sheathed my sword. I'd had it drawn this whole time without even realizing it. Outwardly, I put on a bright smile. Her body. And Raymond, the one who had just committed this cruel act, went on to mock her pain. He told me, "Don't worry, Erin, your family will be joining you soon." It wasn't until I learned that it had all been a lie from the start. No matter how many times I come back to life, I can never forget the expression I saw on his face. Her body. And Raymond, the one who had just committed this cruel act, went on to mock her pain. There wasn't even a hint of guilt, as if this was the very moment he had been waiting for. He told me, "Don't worry, Erin, your family will be joining you soon." It wasn't until I learned, at the very end, that smiling face of his. Even if he only killed me because he was following orders, there wasn't a single trace of sorrow on it. Erin coldly described every single detail. When a sword pierces through your skin, it's incredibly painful. Sometimes you don't even die right away, you just tremble. The resentment that comes from being betrayed. "I never once treated you badly." In his eyes. "How strange. Something is wrong. Why is Erin acting so hostile toward me?" Raymond tried to push down the feeling. I trusted him, and was always grateful. But then the cruel reality hit, leaving Erin frozen in shock. A cold blade suddenly pierced right through. Of fear, and changed the subject. "Lady Erin, let's head back. It's gotten too late. People will start to worry. We can." To him, as if she were scrutinizing his self-righteous act. After a moment, she turned to leave. Fine. Raymond couldn't help but let out a silent sigh of relief. She scared the crap out of me, the way Lady Erin was looking at me with, in agony for a long time before the end. The intimidating aura she was giving off startled Raymond, and panic was clearly visible. That expression. I almost wondered if she'd hit her head. Seriously though, Coralia is just too harsh. She needs to ease up a bit. That she's become excessively different from how she used to be. The gentle, easy-to-tease look in her eyes has vanished, replaced by the gaze of a knight. But I didn't think much of it. Raymond remembered Coralia's evaluation. Her body is already broken. No matter how much she practices with a sword, she'll only ever reach the level of a high-class knight, if she happens to lose one of her wrists. So what? No matter how much she changes, in the end, she's still just that naive and foolish Erin Lysus. Raymond raised an eyebrow calculatingly. Actually, this is even better. The more she fights back, the more satisfying it will be to break her. Erin kept her pace steady. I walked steadily forward, my mind drifting into a stream of memories. When was it? I don't remember the exact date, but in the past, I once went for a walk with Raymond by a lake just like this one. At that time, I was suddenly attacked by a stranger and fell into the water, and Raymond had jumped in to save me. My incessant coughing mixed with his angry voice. Are you all right, Lady Erin? Damn it, I should have caught that guy. After that incident, I had to live with the fear that someone was trying to kill me, and my distrust of people grew day by day. But now I know. There was no attacker that day. Just like now, it was Raymond himself who pushed me down. He couldn't hide his fear when faced with my questioning. Did you really think I would obediently go back to the training grounds, Raymond? Do you remember what I said the day we met again at the academy? He hastily grabbed the hilt of his sword, intending to attack. You're too dangerous. But before Raymond could do anything, a sharp, decisive sword strike sliced clean off his hand. A scream of agony echoed through the silent space. Erin gently sheathed her sword, then glanced coldly down at Raymond, who was collapsed and trembling on the ground. It's a real relief that you haven't changed from before. Her gentle voice from the past suddenly overlapped with the present. Because you haven't changed from before, it's a real relief. Raymond gasped for breath as his consciousness began to fade away. Before him, Erin's smiling face looked like a soul-reaping demon. Otherwise, perhaps I would have given you a chance to be forgiven. Raymond stared in stunned disbelief at his severed hand. What is happening right now? My plan was just to push Erin into the water and then save her, to fix that arrogant attitude of hers. How did it turn out like this? Erin roughly covered Raymond's mouth and exposed him. What were you trying to do? Pushing me into the water? Wasn't the only plan, was it? Why? Did the Marchioness order you to stop me from wielding a sword? Raymond's pupils trembled uncontrollably. In that moment, I realized what that feeling truly was. The fear of death. Erin had hidden her true strength. But how? If I don't do something right now, I'll die. Die at the hands of Erin. This is my only chance to make her believe me. After being allowed to speak, Raymond hurriedly made excuses for himself. It was Coralia who ordered me. No, Lady Erin. She said that if you could wield a sword, I had to make sure you would never use it again. I was just following orders. It wasn't my choice. You've known me for a long time. Now, haven't you? Please believe me. At that moment, Raymond inwardly smirked, as if he held a winning hand against Erin, the pitiful daughter of the Marquis who had never been loved in her entire life. The sound of incessant gossip rang out. That's her, right? The daughter of the Marquis' family. I heard she fired all the servants herself. Don't even mention it. I told my child not to associate with people like that. Instead of being loved, she grew accustomed to craving affection. Faced with the people who gossiped behind her back, the young Erin could only step forward hesitantly, stammering, I didn't do. I swear, please believe me. The more she craved affection, the more people ignored her. A child who grows up with indifference will be grateful for even the smallest bit of attention, because that is their only connection to others. Faced with Raymond's empty confession, Erin just calmly announced, Raymond, you will die by my hand today? Her resolute expression made him turn pale, as she continued to stare at him with cold eyes. Raymond was stunned, as if he couldn't believe it. Why? I told you. It was all Coralia. Erin patiently explained. From the moment I first saw you at the academy, I've had this plan all along. If I didn't, why would I have come all this way with you? Besides, I already knew your plan. You were going to push me into the lake and then pull me out, pretending to be the only one who cared about me. Raymond immediately panicked and tried to explain himself. No, you're mistaken. That was Coralia's order too. She told me to throw you in the water. Erin indifferently cut Raymond off. Still, he stubbornly refused to admit his fault. I told you, everything was because of Coralia. Please spare me. I'm unarmed, so I've already surrendered. A knight isn't allowed to harm someone who has surrendered. Don't people say that murderers go to hell? If you do this, you'll go to hell too. After hearing this, Erin boldly declared, You're right, Raymond. Both in the past and even now, I believe in heaven and hell. In my past life, I was naive enough to think that if I lived a good life, I would go to heaven. In front of a small, simple grave, Erin's desperate pleas were drowned out by the downpour. I'll be good. I promise I'll listen. To Mom, I won't hate anyone, and I'll live a good life, so please let me see Titi again. In heaven, that naive little girl tried not to hate anyone, even at the very end. Erin quietly lowered her head, recalling the past. I begged you too. I pleaded to be allowed to live. I clung to your leg, begging you, that even if that life was as miserable as hell, I still wanted to live, but you refused to listen. Raymond stared in confusion. What are you talking about? However, what answered him was Erin's silence as she raised her sword high, her eyes revealing an emptiness in her soul that could never be filled. I will never see Titi again. With that, Erin forcefully plunged the blade straight into Raymond's chest. At the same time, she didn't forget to leave him with a promise: go on ahead and wait for me. After her revenge was complete, Erin decisively pulled her sword out. She maintained a calm composure, watching Raymond slowly collapse at her feet. Erin quietly repeated as if to remind herself, when all of this is over, we will meet again in hell. At the encampment, shouts of alarm shattered the peaceful evening. This is a disaster! Derek yelled in shock. Ferdinand, my God, where have you been? You were gone for so long, I was about to come looking for you. Just then, Ferdinand ran up, out of breath, and announced worriedly, she's gone! He looked at him, confused. Ferdinand anxiously raised his voice and repeated, Lady Erin is gone. The whole group was stunned to hear the news. What? They all exclaimed in unison. Ferdinand hastily recounted what had happened just a few minutes before. She was right there with me, and then she suddenly said she was going on ahead. And then she disappeared without a trace. A soldier from the team, disturbed by the commotion outside, was awakened and stepped out of his tent, confused. What the hell is going on? Philip, not entirely sure. Guessed, did someone go missing or something? Ferdinand, having seemingly lost all his usual composure, urged them frantically. I've searched the entire area, but she's nowhere to be found. Wake everyone up, we have to find Lady Erin right now. Derek immediately tried to reassure him. Ferdinand, calm down. You're getting way too agitated. Hearing that, he angrily snapped back, calm. Ah, didn't you hear me? Lady Erin is missing. Just then, Erin stepped out from the tent area and spoke up. I'm right here, Sir Ferdinand. Her sudden appearance left him stunned, and he asked tentatively, Lady Erin, when did you get back? She answered honestly, I told you I was going on ahead. I came straight back to camp. At that moment, Ferdinand's nautomation, anxious heart finally began to settle. Thank heavens, I thought you had gone off alone again like last time. And yet, Erin coldly avoided his concerned grasp. Don't worry about me, I'm not going anywhere. Ferdinand also seemed to be taken aback by her distant demeanor, and was stunned. On the other side, Derek and his comrades silently watched the awkward atmosphere between them. The other soldiers were also curious about the gossip. Are they fighting? What's going on? Because of this, Derek decided to step into the rather awkward situation. You heard her, right? She's not going anywhere. If you're done checking on her, then let's head inside. Now that she's back, we should all get some rest. Everyone, back to your tents and get some sleep. He continued giving orders. Karen, take care of cleaning up. He automatically accepted the task. Right, I understand. In the past, Sir Ferdinand also used to worry about me like this, as time rewound to when Ferdinand expressed his opinion, and was stunned. On the other side, Derek and his comrades silently watched the awkward atmosphere between that I know. If you don't want to talk about what you've been through, when you're ready someday, I'll be there to help you. But I never got the chance to confess. By the time I was ready to speak, you were no longer in this world. Erin remembered the moment Raymond. He continued giving orders. Karen, take care of cleaning up. He automatically accepted the task. Right, I understand. In the past, Sir Ferdinand, I don't know how you've changed, but you can never go back to how you were. You're a murderer now. Even while dying, used his last bit of strength to mock her. You will never be loved in this entire life. No matter what anyone else says, I don't believe you killed Khalif. You're not the type of person to take an innocent life, at least not the Erin. I'm used to being hated. But if anyone dares to threaten Sir Ferdinand and the knights, I won't hesitate to become a demon. The next morning, Erin packed up with the other knights to prepare for their departure. She arranged. Even if Sir Ferdinand comes to hate me, and even if this cruel sword makes people call me a villainess, it doesn't matter. Sir Raymond anywhere? Her face remained calm as she replied, No, I haven't. Karen scratched his head awkwardly, unaware that the man's body had grown cold. At his sister's hands the night before. We're about to leave. Where on earth could he have gone? His tent is empty, and his horse is gone too. Recalling last night for a moment, Erin carefully looked around. She gently placed all of Jamin's things on the horse's back, faking a scene to make it look like he had left. Erin, a lonely figure, silently watched the horse gradually disappear deep into the forest. Back in the present, someone spoke up. What's going on? The person who had just spoken was, perhaps he returned to the estate of Marquis Lysus ahead of us. He asked, confused. Without permission from the commander? Does that happen often? Placed all of Jamin's things on the horse's back, faking a scene to make it look like he had left. Erin, a lonely figure, silently watched the horse. The boy waved his hand dismissively. Ferdinand turned back to Erin. Did you hear anything? Like maybe he had some urgent business? Her eyes were a little evasive as she answered, I wouldn't know. I rarely spoke with him to begin with. He didn't press the matter. Well, let's just get going. Amon added nonchalantly, Sir Raymond is a high-ranking knight, right? Do you really think something happened to a high-ranking knight? There aren't even any low-level monsters around here. He added to himself, to be honest, this is actually better. His attitude and the way he looked at everyone always made me uncomfortable. Then he glanced at Erin. Even setting that aside, someone from House Lysus would find it hard to trust the kind of person who could do something so disgusting to a lady's body. It must have been an insider, not an outsider. Then he turned to Karen, which puzzled him. Except for this guy, he isn't capable enough, nor is he cruel enough. With that thought, he tried to persuade them. Anyway, if his belongings were still here, we could suspect an accident. But since everything is gone, he must have returned to the estate. Ferdinand said nothing, his gaze thoughtful. Amon urged. Besides, didn't we agree that the schedule for the rendezvous point is tight? Finally, he agreed. Yes, that's right. Once we leave the safe zone, monsters start to appear. Losing a high-ranking knight is a huge loss of strength, but stopping to search will only weaken our forces. If you both agree, let's just keep moving. What do you all think? Karen spoke first. If Sir Ferdinand has decided, I will follow. I can't say I'm not worried, but the mission must come first. She also replied briefly. I have no objections either. Having reached a consensus, he concluded. Good, then let's depart. As planned. Everyone, prepare to move out. They all shouted in unison. Erin felt relieved inside. I was worried they would be suspicious, but in the end, I got away with it. As she was about to pick up her bag, another hand reached for it too. Ferdinand said nothing, proactively, helping Erin with her luggage. His expression was so casual as if this was a common occurrence. Today you will also ride. Beside me, won't you? She was a bit surprised. Ah, I was planning to switch places with Sir Derek, but Ferdinand insisted. Ride. Beside me. It was you, Lady Erin, who asked me to stay by your side for this entire mission. After saying that, he left immediately, leaving the young lady, fluttering in the wind, unable to object. It's unclear what she was thinking, but her eyes were always fixed on his figure. We continued on a long and tiring journey. Leaving the safe zone, we had to constantly fight monsters big and small, and the closer we got to the werewolf territory, the fewer travelers we saw. To make matters worse, the weather suddenly turned. As the group was moving, Ferdinand, who was leading, saw a light ahead and reassured them. There's an inn up ahead, just a little further. Even a well-trained knight would find it hard not to be exhausted. The sky was pouring rain, but fortunately, the group found a place to rest. Amon let out a sigh. Finally, some real food. After 10 exhausting days, Erin maintained her quiet demeanor, but replied in her heart, I agree with Sir Amon. Then she looked around and wondered, everyone is exhausted. Starting tomorrow, we'll have to climb the mountain and leave the horses behind. Will it be okay? I've never participated in a subjugation campaign against werewolves before, so I don't know what they went through. I only know that Sir Ferdinand returned with severe injuries, and those who fought in it avoid talking about what happened. Even if I wanted to ask, I couldn't bring myself to ask those who experienced it directly. Erin's dejected expression made him worry. Are you okay? On the way, she also took every spare moment to spar with Philip and the others. Erin snapped out of her daze. Oh right, she remembered. During the trip, the three of them would yell and charge into a 3-on-1 match. One of them shouted, I'm definitely gonna beat you today. Erin's eyebrows just twitched. With the superior experience from her past life, she toyed with them like they were overgrown kids. This one-sided beatdown left Eamon speechless. He pointed out, for someone as strong as you, your stamina is surprisingly weak. Ironically so. You should take care of your body, Erin teased. Are you worried about me? I never knew Sir Eamon had this side to him. He replied casually, I guess so. Don't get used to it. It's a rare sight. People say all sorts of things when they're tired. She replied lightly. That's true. I need to save my strength anyway. Once we set foot in the werewolves' territory, who knows what's waiting for us? Amon's thoughts were grim. Wasn't this mission just the Emperor's way of tormenting Ferdinando? So everything will probably go against our expectations. He's always been given missions that are beyond his capabilities. Erin noticed his vigilance. Sir Eamon looks really serious. I should take his advice to heart. Whether by accident or on purpose, her hand suddenly hit a cup of water. Erin sent the cup flying. Just then, the door burst open. Ferdinando's group walked in, with him in the lead. Derek complained, What's with all this rain? I almost drowned just taking care of the horses. Suddenly, his gaze was drawn in one direction. The sight before him was Amon leaning in close to hand her a towel. The two of them were joking around. Are you okay? Erin laughed. You've asked me that way too many times today. Seeing them look so close, Ferdinando suddenly remembered the day she told him, I'm going to annul our engagement. Ferdinando's brows knitted together, his expression soured. Derek nudged him. Why are you spacing out? Let's eat and get some rest. Then they went to join the other two. Hey Amon, enjoying the easy life all by yourself, huh? He smirked. Well, who told you guys to lose at rock, paper, scissors? Karen whined. I'm starving. He tried to push his feelings aside. Stop overthinking, just focus on getting everyone back safely. Someone called out, Ferdinando, hurry up. He slowly walked over. I'm coming. Then a thought struck him. Where's Lilia? The question made the entire group stop, even with food halfway to their mouths. Does anyone know where she went? Elsewhere, the person they were talking about was standing in the rain, with a magic circle on the ground beneath her. Her expression was terrifying as she stared at the gold coin in her hand. A past conversation came to mind. Someone had asked, You're Lilia, Calypsa's sister? I'm a maid from the Lysus household. I regret to be the one to offer you my condolences. Lilia looked on in horror at the sight of that blood-soaked body. Raymond, in a black cloak behind her, whispered, Keep your voice down. But the madam told me to bring this for the funeral. Then he tossed her a bag full of gold coins, his voice like a tempting devil. This is all to say that she is to blame for not being able to stop her own daughter. Her green eyes glanced back. No one could have known what Lilia was thinking then. The memory faded, and she stared at the gold coin in her hand, her expression emotionless. To take a life so easily, and even smile after killing my brother. Through the window, Lilia set her sights on Erin. Yeah, go ahead and laugh. Laugh all you want for now. She remembered what Jamin had said. So, do you still want revenge for Calypsa? I have a way for that. A murderous aura radiated from Lilia. Soon enough, you won't be laughing anymore. Erin was completely unaware of the plot. Unaware of the death plot targeting her, she still smiled carefree with her friends. 1 week later, the group arrived at some ruins, a sight that left everyone stunned. Derek wiped his sweat. We've finally made it to the rendezvous point. This is all to say that she is to blame for not being able to stop her own daughter. Her green eyes glanced back. "Leave the horses behind," he said to the man behind him. "Derek, tell everyone to rest until the appointed time." He acknowledged the order. "Yes, sir." The sky was now turning dark, and shadows enveloped the forest. Ferdinand suspected something was wrong. Count Leon had not arrived yet. As he was thinking, a voice cut in. Ferdinand. He realized it was Derek, who voiced his opinion. It's long past the appointed time. Unaware of the death plot targeting her, she still smiled carefree with her friends. 1 week later, the group, to the point he'd jump into a fire on His Majesty's command. So why not show up this time? Ferdinand finally let out a breath, thinking to himself, "Thankfully, I'm not late. Since it was a mountain path, I had to." "We do now? Ferdinand, are you giving up?" "Of course we have to go back. This wolf tribe is beyond our strength." Derek thought helplessly. "I knew you would say that." He ruffled Ferdinand's hair. "I understand your position, but I object to returning empty-handed. At least we should send a team to search the nearby area. Since we are already in the wolf tribe's territory, we need to show that we made at least a minimal effort to investigate. There might be spies from His Majesty mixed in with the knights." Both of them looked towards their men who were complaining. "Why didn't Count Leon come? I'm so tired. I just want to sleep like this." Derek guessed, if we return without doing anything, the consequences will surely fall on us. He thought to himself. So Derek also suspects there are spies. I get what Derek is saying. If we go back like this, Father will hold not just me accountable. Ferdinand glanced back at his friends, including Lilia, and thought, but also the knights under my command. He fell silent, his decision made. Ferdinand ordered, "Derek, send out a search party." He had a visibly pleased look on his face. He continued, "However, there's one condition." Derek listened in silence. From a distance, Erin watched, the two of them talking. She leaned against a wall and thought, Lord Ferdinand and Sir Derek are whispering so quietly so that no one can hear, but they can't escape my keen hearing. Search parties were formed, with each group of 4 going to scout the wolf tribe's territory. Safety was the top priority. But when everyone returned, Lord Ferdinand came to regret that decision. The sight before him was of seriously injured knights being treated. He raised his voice. "What are you trying to say?" That Amon and Lilia were kidnapped. A vision of them both unconscious, but with Amon having an additional wound on his forehead. The team members recounted what happened. "We were on our way back from the search when we were suddenly ambushed. Amon and Lady Lilia ordered us to flee while they held off the enemy." Erin pondered. In her mind, to the wolf tribe, a mage is a hostage they would never let get away. The wolf tribe doesn't have their own mages. So why did this happen? It wasn't supposed to go this way. She remembered that, in the past, even though they were injured, Amon. Ferdinand finally let out a breath, thinking to himself, "Thankfully, I'm not late. Since it was a mountain path, I had to." Fate itself is twisting. On top of that, everyone was in a panic, and even at their best, the skills of they still weren't strong enough to face the wolf tribe, and in this state, rescuing the hostages was nearly impossible. One thing's for sure, I'll be the one to save them, but what about Sir Ferdinand? Would it be safer to bring him along or leave him behind? While she was debating, her intuition screamed that danger was approaching, and she instinctively lunged, pulling him with her, dodging a lightning-fast attack. The strike missed, embedding itself deep into a tree trunk and leaving a hole, proof of its extraordinary power. This was also the Emperor's command. Ferdinand argued, "Something must have happened." He chimed in, "Yeah, right, and this is how it ends up. What do?" He quickly looked in the direction the spear came from, only to see a horde of werewolves, swarming towards them. Derek cursed under his breath. Damn it! He remembered the words of a soldier. We were on our way back. From the search, when his words echoed in his head, "They're chasing us," the image of ferocious wolves with long fangs, mouths drooling, their red eyes staring as if looking at their next meal. As their captain, Ferdinand ordered everyone to prepare a defense. Derek gritted his teeth. Damn it! Everything was falling apart, but Erin, with her eternally unchanging expression, silently assessed the situation. There were a total of 10 werewolves. They don't seem too strong, but if we fight here, their excellent hearing will alert the others deeper in the territory to come as reinforcements. Furthermore, most of the men are panicking, and if we fight, there will surely be casualties. In times like these, it's best to run. Seemingly thinking the same thing, he ordered everyone to retreat, and they immediately helped each other flee, leaving only her and Ferdinand to fend off the onslaught of the werewolf pack. Erin reached into her pouch, trying to think of a way to draw their attention so everyone could escape. Something whistled through the air like a gust of wind, past the dozens of werewolves in front, hitting one of them in the head. It stopped and clutched its forehead, catching an object that fell. A closer look revealed it was a gold coin, and she casually tossed it in her hand, taunting them. "Hey!" The coin danced up and down in Erin's hand. "Over here!" The werewolves flew into a rage, howling as they all targeted her and gave chase. Erin used this to lure them away, in the opposite direction from the squad. Ferdinand cried out in alarm, "Lady Erin!" But it was too late. She was already long gone. Her small figure gradually disappeared into the night, and Ferdinand chased after her without hesitation. Seeing this, Derek rushed to stop him. "What?" But Ferdinand stopped Derek from following, shouting, "The promise! Keep the promise you made to me!" It was unclear what they had discussed, but upon hearing this, he froze. Karen, at his side, also tried to reason with him. Take care of the injured. And here I was, thinking she'd abandon those two to stay behind with Derek, but she bolted faster than a squirrel, darting past him. With his years of experience as a knight, he quickly caught Karen. She scowled, her voice low. "Let me go." I will bring my sister and Sir Ferdinand back. Derek refused, saying that treating the wounded and protecting the remaining knights was the top priority. Flashing back to their conversation, Derek, send a search party but on one condition. I know that I must stay alive. If something happens to me, promise me you'll take responsibility for protecting everyone else. He remembered what he was told, his eyes firm with resolve. Ferdinand has entrusted the safety of our comrades to me. Once I accept this order, I will protect them, and you must do the same. Karen, unresigned, she bit her lip hard. Meanwhile, elsewhere, blood splattered across the sky, and on the ground lay the strewn corpses of werewolves. A lone survivor sat trembling on the ground. The sight of that small figure of Erin, who held such astonishing power, terrified him. Are you even human? She was like an emotionless machine, raising her sword to finish him off. At that moment, only a single thought crossed the werewolf's mind. She's going to kill me. He instinctively shielded his head with his hands, squeezing his eyes shut as if to accept his fate. However, the expected pain never came, confusing the werewolf. Why? Isn't she attacking? He saw that Erin had swung her sword halfway, but her entire body froze in place. With a look of disbelief, her superior hearing picked up on him chasing her. Her face was smeared with blood, but her eyes gradually cleared, no longer filled with killing intent. Hurried footsteps echoed from within the forest. Due to the distance and the darkness, he could only scan his surroundings, searching, but this bought Erin a little more time. Fortunately, Sir Ferdinand didn't seem to have spotted her yet, but then she suddenly turned to him, startling him. I'm not going to kill you. I need a messenger. Tell your chieftain that if you dare to harm the humans that you have kidnapped, then prepare to pay the price. His life spared, the werewolf fled as if a demon was at his back, without a single glance back. With one problem solved, Erin now had to quickly compose herself before he arrived. Under the moonlight, she turned toward the commotion, waiting for the person who was approaching. The night sky grew quiet again, with only the soft music of the rustling wind. Finally, Ferdinand found the footprints. He bent down to carefully examine the tracks on the ground. Following the direction they led, Ferdinand realized they went deeper into the werewolves' territory. It's definitely Lady Erin and the wolves. I shouldn't be here. My mother, a saintess, was someone who could see the future of others and hear the voice of the goddess. My mother saw my future and said to me, Ferdinand, the lives of many people will rest upon your shoulders. You must live. I'm sorry for placing this burden on you. But promise me one thing. Right before she died, my mother broke the laws of the saintesses to give me a prophecy. No matter how painful life becomes, you must live on. Whether I wanted it or not, those words became the law that governed my life, and it's one of the reasons I have endured this hellish life until now. Back in the present, he stood up and moved forward. Werewolves are notorious for never letting an intruder leave alive. If I have to face a large pack of werewolves with only my current skills, I probably won't make it back. I could even be taken hostage and become a burden to the Empire. Even if I go after Lady Erin, nothing will change, just like my life has been up to this point, always trying to run from fate, but never changing a thing. Though it was difficult, Ferdinand still had to stand up and endure it. Then he recalled that solitary figure, always moving forward, of hers. But the moment I saw Lady Erin luring the wolves away, I had a strange feeling. Ferdinand's hand clenched tightly, a gut feeling telling him that if he didn't follow her right now, he would regret it. He took something from inside his collar, opening his hand to reveal a necklace with a blue crystal in the center. Looking at it was like seeing her right there. Ferdinando's heart whispered a prayer. Mother, please let me find Lady Erin safe and sound. And as if his prayer was answered, a familiar voice called out, Lord Ferdinand. He immediately turned towards the sound, and the woman he was searching for appeared from behind him. The moment seemed to freeze, as they only had eyes for each other. Erin had cleaned herself up, and her body was covered in a faint, silvery glow as she asked, Why are you here, my lord? Thank you for watching today's video. Our story is still going with plenty of exciting developments ahead, so don't forget to hit like and subscribe to support us and to not miss out on the latest episodes. We hope you have a relaxing and fun time, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.